Hi everyone, Motaz here from Telecom Test. Today we're going to show you FX150 Plus from VX, which is a mini OTDR. It's a handheld OTDR, pretty much like a 1 kilogram with built-in battery. You can have single mode and multi-mode, a visual fault locator, a power meter and a laser source, and a plug-in for a microscope all in one unit with a touch screen. So when you start the unit, this is the user interface. On the bottom left would be the IP address. This is how I'm connected to the unit. I'm going to show you how to connect to the unit. And on the bottom right, it says the Wi-Fi connection is already there. So yeah, pretty much we've got all the functions listed in front of you. The OTDR and easy mode for OTDR. So if you don't want to configure anything, just let the unit use the default settings or certain profiles. Just use easy OTDR if you're not experienced with the how to configure an OTDR parameter. So you can just use the easy OTDR. Expert OTDR, this is the one we're going to play with, where you can configure every single parameter of your test. vScout link map, this is how you configure, this is where you configure your settings to provide a link map with different wavelength settings and different shootings. Visual fault locator, optical light source, power meter, and a fiber scope if it's plugged in. Now let's start first how to connect to the unit. So basically what we see here is a browser. This is a tab in a browser where you log in and provide the IP address of the unit, and you can log into it. There's another mode where you can log into the unit over the internet if the unit is not available in your LAN. So go to Utilities, Settings, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So on the Wi-Fi wizard, you should be able to scan for the networks around you. And once you select a network, you connect to the access point, this access point, and then connect to the network. I'm already connected to an access point and I'm already connected to the network. So it's already been established. Now we're going to look at more. So this is one type of connection, is just to get an IP and connect to this IP using your browser. The second method is to enable Easy Remote, which is a free service from VX that would establish a connection through the cloud, through the internet. You click apply, and it will register the unit on the VX server, so you can log in remotely from any place. Now the unit has established a connection to the VX server. You will notice that there is an ID, it's TRFA10 something. That's actually the serial number of the unit, and that's what all you need to log into the unit on VX Easy Remote website. You go to VX Easy Remote website, provide this ID along with a password, which is typically pass1, and then you will access this user interface. So first method is through the LAN, through the IP given at the bottom left, or you can log in through the Easy Remote. Now that we have established the connection, let's look at the optics. Now go to fiber, so you can start configuring your optical desk. Go to Expert OTDR. You can configure which wavelengths you will be working with, 1310, 1550, 1625. These are the three that I have on my unit. You can have more wavelengths on different models. So let's say I want to skip 1310, I want to keep it to 1625 and 1550. On the mode, you can make it auto, so the unit will auto select the best parameters, or manual, and you can just adjust every single parameter as you wish. I've got a launch cable connected to a launch cable box connected to my OTDR, which is typically around 1 kilometer. So I'm going to use the shortest pulse width, maybe a 5 nanosecond. A high resolution time, 5 seconds just for the sake of the demo. You can configure whatever time you want to put, maybe a 1 minute typical. And you can select your optimization for the dynamic range or the dead zone, or being automatic selected by the unit. What kind of fiber you will be testing? So you've got some profiles to choose from. You can toggle between the pages, page 2, 4, 1, or you can define your own cable. Pass fail thresholds, PF thresholds. You can edit, just select the pencil icon. And here you can define what is a splice loss, what a connector loss, reflection loss at each wavelength. So you can define these here. Now let's say I want to make it custom. All right, I want to make a splice loss at 1550 0.3 dB. This is the pass. Remember, this is the pass fail threshold. So I'm gonna make it 0.25 rather than 0.3. 0.25. Apply. And I've got a custom value here already for the 1550. Click modify. That's all right. Okay. Now pass fail thresholds are custom ones, not the default ones. So you can save a profile to recall at any time. Now the thresholds for the splitter, you can define the thresholds for the splitter depending on what kind of splitter you're working with, 1x4, 1x8, 1x16. Again, you can customize these and put your own values. Analysis thresholds. So you are telling the OTDR what is a splice and what is a reflectance. So when the unit sees like a 0.1 dB difference, it's going to recognize it as a splice. This is not the pass-fail threshold. This is just the recognition value, how to recognize a certain event, reflectance, fiber end, and macro band. You can customize these as well. Span, if you have a launch cable box at the beginning or at the end, you can insert the values here, the index or the length. So typically you would use a launch cable fiber to overcome the initial dead zone or characterize the last part of your fiber. If you have any of these, then make sure to put the values for your launch cable boxes or your span. vScout. Now this is how you make multiple measurements for a single test, so you can characterize better all kind of events, the close ones and the far ones, because you would like to use different pulse widths for the same link to characterize all type of events. So this is typically the setup that we have here. Link map, events, measure, traces, these are all available once you start making the test. So just click on the green button on the right, the arrow, and you can just start the test, and you can configure your autosave. So autosave is something that you do once and for so you do once in your job. Just put your ID, a name for the test demo online. I'm gonna call it demo online cable. Just put the IDs, indexing what kind of information you want to put on the file naming. You want to put the wavelength among the file name, the pulse width, serial number, date and time, all the information that you want to insert here. Comments, node ID account, and you want to generate a PDF report and a diagram as well in your report. So you are all good with these. Now for the cloud, You can create an account on Fiberizer.com. That's a free service from VX. Just give it your username and password once you create your access credential to Fiberizer. Put it there, and you can just forget it afterwards. It will be connected to it. Now we can start the test then. So that's the 1550, and now it's going to be testing the other one shortly. That's fine, that's the 1550, how it looks like. Just asking you if that's okay for auto saving. And then now you have the 1625 as well for this one. You can do any kind of measurements you want to customize. So a 2-point loss, what's A and B, so you can put your markers. You've got marker A and marker B. If you select the marker from the top, from the thin line, you can just move one marker at a time. If you select the marker from the bottom, from the thick part of the line, you can move both markers simultaneously. And you have got the difference between both in decibel, the level, and the distance as well. You can click zoom in or zoom out. You can select a region. Actually, on this preview window, you can just scroll to the right or to the left, just to make it easier. If you have got a long link, maybe 100 kilometer, you can just slide this window right to the left. And you've got also hard keys, scrolling hard keys on the unit itself, so you can scroll in and out, zoom in and out, without having to touch the unit, which is really nice feature. Now let's look at the traces. Yeah, these are my traces. 1550 with a 5 nanosecond from B to A, and you can configure for bidirectional, so from B to A and A to B, and then make the bidirectional analysis afterwards with the post-processing tool. What kind of events do we have here? This is the event table along with the trace. So basically I've got the initial connector. I've got a span of about 1 kilometer, and finally that's the end of the fiber here, about 1.05 kilometer. Link map, how it looks like rather than the trace. So that's the 1550 and 1625 again. The losses for each wavelength, and how it looks like from a schematic point of view. You can just select this one. It would say fail. Maybe the attenuation is too much. Yeah, attenuation is too much for this wavelength. So yeah, it depends on the what's pass and fail thresholds you have set already in the previous settings. Results. How you're going to manage results. So if you scroll down, you will see a demo online folder has been created automatically, and you've got a cable, just one cable inside, and one fiber tested, and you can see that it has been tested with these two colors, and without having to know, you just look at the color legend at the left. You've got a 1550 and 1625, and you've got a preview. If you just select one of these traces, so you've got a lot of traces here, you can just select one of them, and you can see just a quick preview what's the wavelength for this one, and it was using 5 nanoseconds. Now if it's yellow, says push, now it didn't sync with the Fiberizer cloud, so the test results are still sitting on your unit. It has not been pushed to the cloud. It's not in sync with the cloud. If it says in sync with a green color, now you have a copy out of the results on the cloud and on your unit as well. So you can push it to the cloud, sync it with the cloud, or maybe import from the cloud as well. So let's just press push, and it will synchronize with the cloud, and you can have it on your account. Yeah, it's done now. Now it's green. Previously it was yellow, now it's in green. You can pull or maybe put on your USB, export to USB if it's plugged in. If you want to modify something, rename, remove, you can manage these test results. So this is pretty much how it looks like for optical testing. You can look at the configuration that you have and the software version you're running with. You can always check VX online website to see if there is any new updates for the firmware. Let's have a look on the different. Yeah, you want to exit. If you want to exit the app of the OTDR, that's fine. If you want to switch to another optical app. So if you look at the easy OTDR mode, so you see here the mode is auto. No further configuration that you can make for the pulse width or the duration. So these are being selected automatically by the unit. So if you're not an expert or one of your team is still catching up with the optics, you can just configure these and give it to him, and he'll be ready to go. And yeah, back to the main menu, visual fault locator. You can just start your visual fault locator to get your red laser and inspect short fibers. Turn on, and it's on. And you can have a continuous wave or maybe a blinking one. Pretty much easy. Please go to the next feature. Optical light source. So the light source would actually use the same OTDR port to give you an optical laser source coming out that you can use for link budget verification maybe. So you want to select the wavelength, let's say 1625. Acquire. So once you press acquire, the results will start counting. So you've got a table now created. It says one new. You have made already an acquisition on that date with this power at that wavelength. So that was the optical power meter. If you want to do a zeroing, if you want to change your units of measurement, dB or nanowatts or dBm. Now let's look at the results. It's being recorded in your project already. So these will be pushed to the server as well. So you can have one complete project for OTDR, power measurements, and a fiber scope as well if it's plugged in. The laser source application is straightforward. Just select the laser that you want. So we've got 3 on this one, and it will come out from the same OTDR port. You can put any kind of modulation rather than the continuous wave, turn on, or you can make a loop so it would switch between the different wavelengths. Turn on, and yeah, 1310, 1550, 1625, so it keeps looping. If you want to have another acquisition, acquire, acquire, acquire. So I've got 3 acquisitions here already. Now if you want to look at your saved results overall on the unit, just go to the V sign, tools. Yeah, if you have a plugged in fiber scope, you can still play with it on your screen, do a pass-fail analysis. You can look at the files, what the one saved inside or the one on the USB. So these are the measurements, the different measurements captured by the unit. So you've got OTDR files here, SOR with the SOR format. So it's PDF and an SOR. We've got multiple pages to scroll through. You can search by job or account or locators just to make sure you reach quickly to your test results if you've got multiple of these. So if you've got different measurements other than OTDR, it will be listed here as well. If you want to keep it neat and cut it down, you don't want to look maybe to the date or to the type. Just remove these from your view and it will be a little bit shorter. You can create a PDF, push it to the USB, or just access it remotely. So this is pretty much the FX150 Plus. Hope you liked this brief information about the unit. You can just adjust the date and time if you would like, and the time zone, just to keep your reports updated. You've got also a Bluetooth, so you can connect through your Bluetooth or through Wi-Fi. So power battery, it's already connected to the power source. The backlight, so you can adjust when to turn off your backlight, 1 minute 30 seconds, so you can save on power. So you can configure when to power off when on battery or on AC power, and the brightness level as well, and you can adjust on the unit. Anytime you go to the icon fiber, you go back to the optical applications on the unit. So to connect to your unit, just go to easyremote.vx and corporation.com, put in your serial number, which is the ID that will be given through the Easy Remote, and a password, and you'll be connected to the unit. Press search. It will be connecting to your OTDR shortly. Yeah, you've got access to the unit and you can control it remotely, configure it, see the test results, and you can do everything remotely. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for your time.